Hi everybody, you're here watching the video called 6 Steps to Success. And there's all these questions that come up when someone starts a new instrument for the student as well as the families. What do they need to learn? How can they do that? Where do they go for information? And guess what? That all starts here on this website as well as all these videos we have available, but more importantly in the classroom or the music room with your music teacher. So make sure you're listening to the teacher, and guess what? They're going to be telling you one thing, and guess what it is? Your child's success is 99% predictable, good or bad. It's predictable whether they're going to be successful or predictable whether they're not going to be successful. And what does that mean? That if you follow these 6 steps and your child follows these 6 steps and does these 6 steps things or these 6 things, guess what? There's a 99% chance they're going to do really well. If they choose not to follow these, or they, well, I don't know if I feel like doing that, that seems weird, I don't think I need to do that, then there's a 99% chance that they're not going to be successful on an instrument. So, good news, bad news, it's in your court. We're here to help you, and this video is here to help you. And then don't forget all the other stuff that's there, but most importantly, listen to the teacher, talk to the teacher if you have any questions, any problems, and guess what? You're going to be doing really well. We look forward to hearing you play in the future, so enjoy this video and start playing every day. All right, number 1 says make a good quality sound on your mouthpiece. Guess what? Everything's about the mouthpiece. My mouthpiece here, this is actually for a cornet. I'm playing cornet instead of trumpet today. Same basic thing, no big deal. But let's take a look at that. There's a couple things it says. There's a lip position, then we got to make a buzz, and then we got to put this all together. So the lip position says pull the corners of your lips back and make them tight. Like saying the letter M. M, M, no M. We talk about being grandma kisses. No grandma kisses. Love you, Grandma. No, we're not here to love Grandma. So pull the corners of your lips back, M, and then we're going to press our lips together so that we can make a sound. Number 2 says making the buzz sound. Lick your lips and keep them tightly pressed together. Lick, M, right? And so what we're doing is we're pressing the lips together so that the air is forcing through there. We're not going, pressing them together, right? So that we can make that buzz sound. Then the 3rd step, of course, is going to be, now keep buzzing while you press the mouthpiece against your lips. Now careful about getting it too high on your lips or too low. We want it about right in the middle or a little bit more on the top lip if anything is different there. So I'm going to lick my lips. I'm going to press it in there. M. Okay? Careful of this one. That really slow, that's too loose. The corner's got to stay firm, but we still have to have some firmness or tightness here in the middle of our lips. Everything that's going to change, by the way, later on is going to be the middle of the lips. Tight, firm, fast. Okay? So that's a good quality sound. This is not. None of that stuff. Tight, firm, strong. Got it? All right. Now, one thing is interesting that we can do on a trumpet or a brass mouthpiece, a trombone, baritone, tuba, we can also make the notes go up and down because we can change the tightness of our lips, which makes the airspeed go up and down. Right, we can make different sounds. So it's kind of fun to play. You can just get your mouthpiece and play on it and see if you can actually make some songs, play along with the tune on TV or on your radio or on your computer, right? So have a little fun with that. The next thing I would do with that is make it go what we call a siren. Right? And just by tightening it up and going fast, and then relaxing and letting it go slow, and then tightening up and go faster and slow. And the tightening and the loosening, all that does is it makes the air speed up and slow down. That's what makes the notes go up and down. So that's making a good quality sound on your mouthpiece. We're going to do that every day. Don't miss the importance of that. Hugely important. Number 2, assemble your instruments. Well, ours is pretty easy. We have our instrument, we have our mouthpiece, and basically all we got to do is stick that in there. Now, some people will talk about you can twist it to the right, do different things, but what I want to just make sure you understand is just setting it in there is just fine for right now. If for some reason it fell out, which it's not going to, but if for some reason it did fall out, just stick it back in there again. All right? The instrument mouthpiece in there, and then when you're done, take it out. No big deal. Let's see what else we have here. Caution, mouthpiece can get stuck very easily. That's right. This one is a no-no. It makes this It makes this cool little sound. Don't do it, because if it gets jammed in there, then it actually can hurt what we call the lead pipe, and it can hurt the mouthpiece, and the more it happens, then it can cause problems. So don't do that. Put the mouthpiece in there, leave it alone, no popping it to make that sound. Okay? Very important. And don't shove it in. Just place it in there, nice and light, nice and easy. Now, number 3, playing in resting positions. Let's take a look at this, very important. We have 2 hands and then 1 instrument here. The left hand is basically going to be grabbing these valves. I actually have a ring here for a finger I can also use, and I can put my 4th finger in there. I could move it down and put my pinky in there. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use my 4th one in there for right now just because my hands are a little bit bigger than yours. But my whole hand wraps around all those valves. Let me show you the other side of that. My hand wraps around all that. And that's going to be the major way you're going to be holding your instrument, is going to be your left hand. Your left hand's going to be holding it. Now your right hand gets to help a little bit, but just your thumb. So on the other side, guess what we're going to do? This is what we call the lead pipe coming from the mouthpiece. My left thumb's going to come underneath this to help hold. So my left hand holds, my right thumb holds, and that's it. The other fingers are going to be doing the playing, so they don't have to do any of the weight lifting here. So I got my thumb here. Notice I'm going to go between the 1st and 2nd valve, thumb underneath the 1st, 2nd valve, lifting up. I don't have to shove it under there and crank it really high. I just need to have it underneath to lift up on that. Now my right hand is going to be, my right thumb's under here, my right 1, 2, and 3 fingers, 1, 2, 3, are going to be on top of what we call the valves, the pistons. Okay? Now the trick on this is, I'm going to turn it sideways, I think you can see. You can see through my hands, it's like a circle. You can see a circle here. When you're doing a circle, you know you're doing it right. Why? Well, that means that I'm pushing down on the valves correctly. I'm pushing down on the valves correctly. Most of what we normally do is we get a little lazy, our knuckles come down, and then we're pushing down, and we're kind of pushing down at an angle. And guess what? My instrument will probably do okay on that because it's more expensive, but your instrument is a little less expensive. It probably is going to get kind of stuck, and the valves are not going to want to work. So what I want to do is bring your knuckles up, look for that circle. Look for that circle when you play. Keep the knuckles up, and then you can push straight down on the valves. Also, by the way, when we're playing, we can also tilt it slightly to the right. We still get the circle, but then we can even play a little easier on that. Okay? So left hand holds, right thumb helps hold between the 1st and 2nd valves, and then we're looking for the circle, and then you know you're playing right. So at the beginning, I'm always reminding my trumpet players, you see your circle, make sure you have a circle. So get those knuckles up and make that circle. So the only thing left is this pinky, and you go, oh, that's that little pinky ring. I'm going to stick it in there. Yeah, when you start doing that, it makes you do 2 things really bad. First of all, this is a bad idea to stick your pinky in here, because then it makes you want to put your thumb up underneath here in between the valves and the bell. And guess what? Now we're pushing the valves down in a really weird way, and it's I don't know, maybe it feels good to you. It doesn't feel that good to me. But more importantly, I cannot move very quickly as well as I can do this way. And it's also going to make the valves work correctly when I'm pushing down with the circle. So when I put my pinky underneath there, guess what? I can't do the circle anymore. And so it gives me this position. Now take a look. Does that look like a comfortable position? If you're playing for, 50 minutes in class with us, or when you get older, you play for several hours at a time, this would be really uncomfortable to play for several hours. Oh, this one is much better position. Okay, so what do we do with the pinky? Well, you can put it on top of this little pinky ring thing if you want to, but in my case, I just usually say keep that circle there and let it do whatever it wants to do. It can just fly around. One little trick that you may or may not know, the way the bones go from each finger down to your wrist, they go down this way, right? The thumb comes over here, but this is actually different. It does not go to the wrist. It actually gets connected to this bone right here. So when you move your pinky, it actually wants to move what we call your 4th finger or your ring finger. Okay? So guess what? If you put that pinky and you lock it in place, when you try to move that 4th finger or our 3rd valve, it makes our pinky want to move too, and it's just really weird and uncomfortable. Let the pinky do whatever it wants to do. So here we go again. Left hand holds. Thumb between the 1st and 2nd valves holding up, making a circle while I'm playing, and I've got my 3 fingers. My pinky is doing whatever it wants to do, but not underneath there, and certainly don't put your thumb way cranked under there, because remember that hand position. Remember what that hand position looks like. It looks really uncomfortable. So relax. Making a circle is a very comfortable position to play with, so that's what we're going to do. Resting position, so here's playing position, by the way. I'm sitting up, my feet are flat on the floor. And in my case, I've got kind of a small, what's called an artist chair, so my back is actually touching the back. For most of you, a little shorter, you can actually sit up and not touch the back, which is really better because as you take breaths, your lungs want to expand, and if there's something in the back, they can only expand certain ways. But the way your lungs work, they want to expand in both directions, or in all directions. So it's better to be away from the chair, sitting up, feet flat, and then I've got my those hand positions, and I put it to my mouth, ready to play. Then resting position, then relax. The instruments they're not super heavy, but they're like almost like a gallon of milk, not quite that heavy, so they're pretty heavy. So to sit there and hold it for a long time right now, that's asking a lot. So what we want to do is be ready to play, hold them up, use your muscles, but then when it's time to rest, then bring it down, rest it on your leg, on your thigh, and like you can kind of see how mine is actually pointing up and is sitting up there. I could actually lay it across my lap as well. I just want to be careful of my mouthpiece that it's not going to get hit by something else. So this is always a good, safe way to do that. For either leg. Okay, so playing position, sitting up, making sure my hand position is correct, my pinky's doing whatever it wants to do, ready to go. I've got it on my mouth, I'm ready to play. And then resting position, relax. Put that thing on your leg. Let your leg hold that weight instead of just your arms. Okay? Your first three notes are on page 6. There's an E, a D, and a C. At the top, you'll also see on page 6 how we read the notes. You should remember that from 4th grade. Every good boy does fine, and then FACE for spaces. But the difference is now we have a D that goes below the music staff or the treble clef, and then a C that goes below that. So the D is the space that goes below there, and then the C has that little line through it. We call that a ledger line. It's like the staff just keeps going on down. The treble clef keeps going on down. So you got to recognize that E, that bottom line. The space below that is the D, and then the line through that is the treble clef. I'm sorry, the line through that is what we call a ledger line, and that makes it for a C. And you'll see that the vowels are 1 and 2 for the first one. It says 1 and 2, and then it says 1 and 3 for a D, and then C is what we call open. C is what we call open. So we'll look at that. 1 and 2 would be like this. 1 and 3 would be like this, and then C would be open. One thing you're going to want to do at the beginning is you're going to want to make everything really big and make this open. You don't have to make that open. Just let your fingertips rest on the vowels. Just don't push them down at all. So push 1 and 2 down, but then my third valve is just still sitting there ready to go. I don't have it way up here, right? And then the D, same thing. Keep it there. Keep your fingers ready to play. Good? All right. First three notes, page 6, and then on the back side of this page, you'll also notice that we go ahead and teach you the 2 new notes from page 8. And you can check that out as well. All right, number 5, tonguing is a trick that you're going to be learning and spending a lot of time on. It's one of those, it feels really weird. It makes you sound really good. It's the difference between sounding like a beginner and sounding like a good musician is how you start the note. So we call it tonguing, using our tongue. And if you notice there, what it says is, it says don't worry about it until we get to number 15. Just get your notes learned and doing all that first. But then it says make the shortest possible T and keep blowing at the same time. And that's weird. Our brain wants to, when we say T, 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 our brain wants to go T, T, T. We want to do a T and stop, and a T and stop. But the trick is you got to say that T and then keep blowing there. T, 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 T. And it just takes a little while to get it. So don't get frustrated with that. If you feel like you're swallowing your tongue, you're doing it right. If you go, oh, this is really easy, you're probably doing it wrong. Okay, so check with your teacher, and they should be listening to you anyway and telling you if you're getting that right or not. So that's the concept of tonguing. And so tonguing is just super important to make you sound really good. We've got to learn how to tongue now because later on we're also going to learn how to play without tonguing. But let's get the tonguing under control first. Number 6, the last thing we put in there is something I just put a repetition. I'm always amused when I'm talking to new students and I'll say, you know, did you practice? Oh yeah, I practiced really hard. How many times did you play that song? And they'll say, oh, I played it 3 times. I played it 5 times. And I laugh at them. And I'm just going, that's not enough times. And it may seem like enough times, but remember, we're learning a skill. This is just like any sport or gymnastics or martial arts or anything that you have to train those muscles. The only way to train them is to do it over and over and over again. You wouldn't dribble a basketball 3 times and go, oh, I got it now. Shoot a free throw once, right? Or playing with, with your soccer ball, you're dribbling that down the field. It just takes a long time. The more you do it, the more the muscles will go on without you, what we call muscle memory, and then you can, your brain will do it naturally without you having to think about it. So everything needs repetition. Reading the notes, making the right sound, doing the right things with your fingers, even playing in resting position are going to be very important for doing this repetition to get the muscle memory going. So everything is about muscle memory or repetition, and the only thing I always want to point out is it's correct repetition. If you play it wrong 25 times, that's not going to help you at all. But that, by the way, that's one thing I always tell the students. Say, when you play a song 25 times, you're going to be really good at it. And then, what? 25 times? Yeah, that's right, 25 times. That's why we have all these tally mark places. Sometimes kids they go, oh, I can't play it. I don't know what's wrong. How many times have you played it? 4. Well, that's not enough times. Do it 20 times, then talk to me. Right? And so always feel free to ask your teacher questions, but most of the time students know the right thing to do. They're just not going home and doing it enough times. Do it over and over and over. So you think about it, 20 times or 21 times, if you did it every day for just one time every day for 3 weeks, that would be 21 times. But maybe you want to do it faster. What if you did it 3 times a day for 1 week? That's 21 times. So I always tell kids it's a numbers game. The more you do it, the quicker you're going to get better. And so just number one, don't forget it's repetition. You got to do it over and over and over. Number 2, it's not only just repetition, it's correct repetition and getting that muscle memory involved. All right? So these are the 6 things we're going to be working on. And frankly, this will be taking us for the first probably 2 months of what we're playing. So work on this, get this going on, and then, of course, we'll start learning more and more tricks from there.